It didn't happen all at once, but one morning, she sat by the window, waiting for the phone to ring. It never did. Her name was Ruth, 84 years old, widowed, sharp mind, great sense of humor. She wasn't sick. She wasn't bedridden. But something in her world had gone silent. The people in her life, her sister, her bridge partner, even her grandson had slowly drifted away. I remember what she told me. I used to be in the middle of everything. Now, I feel like I'm watching life through a window I can't open. She wasn't talking about illness. She was talking about aging, the part of aging no one warns you about. Not the wrinkles, not the pills, but the way the world quietly stops seeing you. In this video, I want to show you what really happens after age 80, not just in your body, but in your relationships, your sense of self, your daily world. We'll uncover the 5 hardest truths about growing old, the ones that almost no one talks about, but every senior deserves to understand. Because when you recognize what's changing, you don't just survive aging, you reclaim it. So stay with me. What you're about to learn might change the way you see the years ahead and the way you choose to live them. The shrinking social world. When the phone stops ringing, there's a strange silence that starts to settle in after age 80. It's not always sudden, but it's real. You notice that the phone rings less. The doorbell goes quiet. Texts become rare. Invitations slow to a trickle or stop completely. One day, you look up and realize that you haven't had a meaningful conversation in days, maybe weeks. For many seniors, this quiet doesn't feel peaceful, it feels like being erased. Why this happens? A web of invisible losses. A shrinking social world is one of the most overlooked realities of aging. It's not because older adults lose interest in people, it's because the systems that once supported connection begin to break down. 1. Physical and logistical barriers. At 85, going out for lunch isn't just a fun plan, it's an energy-consuming project. You're dealing with joint pain, mobility issues, medication schedules, and the fear of falling. Even texting or hearing on the phone can feel exhausting. So many seniors start saying no to plans. And eventually, people stop asking. 2. Cognitive hesitation. Even mild memory loss or word-finding difficulties can make conversations stressful. Many seniors fear embarrassing themselves, repeating stories, forgetting names, or struggling to keep up. So, they withdraw. Not because they don't care, but because it's safer. 3. The erosion of social networks. Time takes its toll on relationships. A spouse passes. Friends fall ill or move away. Adult children are busy. Grandchildren grow up and disappear into their own lives. The natural web of daily connection begins to thin until there are days where there's no one left to talk to at all. Loneliness changes the brain and body. What most people don't understand is that this isn't just emotional. Chronic isolation causes chemical shifts that change how the brain works. Oxytocin and the loss of connection. Oxytocin is the hormone of closeness released when we hug, laugh, talk, face to face. But when those moments disappear, oxytocin levels drop. In its place, stress hormones like cortisol take over. That leads to anxiety, poor sleep, inflammation, and even a weaker immune system. Dopamine and the loss of motivation. Dopamine is what gives us energy and motivation. It's the brain's reward chemical. We release it when we anticipate a call, a visit, a conversation. When there's nothing to look forward to, dopamine dries up. And so does the will to engage. People stop cooking, stop walking, stop doing the things they used to love, and not out of depression, but because the brain isn't giving them a reason to care. A lesson from Mandela: surviving social silence. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, many of them in near total isolation. He was cut off from his family, his community, the world. And yet, he didn't lose himself. Why? Because he created an internal world. He memorized poetry, imagined conversations, rehearsed speeches. He kept his identity alive by mentally staying connected to people he loved. This is something seniors can do to mentally revisiting joyful moments, speaking to loved ones who have passed, writing or telling stories. It's not living in the past, it's keeping the flame of connection alive. Rebuilding a smaller, stronger social world. We can't restore the wide circle of youth, but we can build a smaller circle, more intentional, more intimate, and just as powerful. 1. Schedule connection. Don't wait for someone to call. Set a routine. Every Tuesday at 5 p.m., Zoom with your daughter. Every Sunday morning, phone call with your old neighbor. Join a weekly virtual book club or church group. Scheduled interaction creates anticipation fuel for your brain and soul. 2. Choose video over voice. Seeing someone's face matters. Eye contact activates oxytocin. Even a 10-minute video call does more for the nervous system than an hour on the phone. 3. Practice loving-kindness meditation. It may sound simple, but silently sending well wishes to loved ones 7, if they're gone, releases oxytocin and lifts your mood. Example. Sit for 5 minutes and say, "May you feel safe, may you feel loved, may you be well." Do this while picturing your spouse, your child, a friend. The brain reacts as if you were together. 4. Write or record your story. Writing a memoir or even just recording a short audio memory each week gives your life shape and meaning. It reminds you of who you are, what you've lived through, and what wisdom you still hold. And when others hear or read those memories, connection is reborn. You're not invisible. You still matter. The world may have gone quiet, but you are still here, still breathing, still wise, still worthy. You don't need a crowd. You don't need endless events. You just need a few deep connections and a commitment to keep showing up for yourself, even when others don't. Because even if the phone stops ringing, your voice still deserves to be heard. When small health issues become big problems, the hidden cost of slower recovery. In youth and middle age, your body was forgiving. A stubbed toe, a sleepless night, a cold, these were inconveniences, not threats. But after age 80, everything changes. What used to be no big deal can spiral into hospitalization, long-term disability, or worse. For many seniors, one of the most shocking and frustrating realities of aging is how tiny health problems suddenly have massive consequences. Immunosenescence. Why your immune system no longer bounces back. Let's start with the science. As we age, the immune system undergoes a process called immunosenescence, a gradual decline in function that affects both your ability to fight infection and your ability to recover from injury. IT cells, which help destroy infected cells, become less responsive. B cells, which create antibodies, decrease in number and quality. Inflammation stays on longer than it should, damaging tissues. This means your body has a harder time detecting threats and a slower response when it does. A simple cold might linger for 2 or 3 weeks. A urinary tract infection can cause confusion, dizziness, or even delirium. A tiny cut on your foot can lead to cellulitis. Things that used to heal themselves quietly now demand constant vigilance. The hip fracture example. A life-altering injury from a small fall. Consider this. For seniors over 80, a fall that causes a hip fracture is often the beginning of a permanent decline. More than 300 older Americans are hospitalized each year for hip fractures. Within 12 months, 1 in 3 will die. Half will never walk independently again. Many will be moved into assisted living or long-term care. And most of these falls, they don't happen during mountain hikes or while jogging. They happen while walking to the bathroom or reaching for a light switch. When your bones are brittle, muscles are weaker, and balance is compromised, a small misstep becomes a life-threatening event. What's going on under the surface? Collagen and endothelial decline. Most people know about osteoporosis, but few understand that aging also damages the infrastructure of healing, including collagen and the endothelium. Collagen Collagen is the protein that holds your body together. It gives skin its elasticity, joints their lubrication, and blood vessels their flexibility. After age 70, collagen production drops by more than 75%. This means skin bruises easily, wounds heal slowly, joints stiffen, recovery time extends drastically. Endothelial function. The endothelium is the inner lining of your blood vessels. It controls blood flow, blood pressure, and clotting. As you age, it stiffens and becomes less responsive, leading to delayed healing, higher risk of blood clots, greater vulnerability to heart attack, and stroke during recovery from unrelated events. Even a small bout of dehydration or a skipped meal can send an 85-year-old into a medical crisis, not because they're fragile, but because their body's margin for error is razor thin. The emotional side, feeling betrayed by your own body. There's a grief that comes with realizing your body doesn't bounce back anymore. That something as minor as a head cold can knock you flat for a week. That a bruise turns into swelling. That a stomach bug leads to 3 days in bed. If you've always been active and independent, this new reality can feel like a personal betrayal. You might think, I used to walk 5 miles, why do my knees ache after 1 block? How did I end up needing help getting dressed? Why am I exhausted after grocery shopping? These aren't signs of failure. They're signs of an aging system working harder to maintain balance. Prevention becomes the new cure. What you can do. The good news? While you can't reverse aging, you can support your body with the right tools. Small choices done consistently can drastically reduce your risk of complications. 1. Stay hydrated. Even slight dehydration can trigger confusion, constipation, or low blood pressure in seniors. Aim for at least 6-8 cups of fluid per day, unless otherwise directed by your doctor. 2. Prioritize sleep. Deep sleep is when your body repairs itself. Poor sleep weakens immunity, slows wound healing, and increases fall risk. Create a bedtime routine. Avoid screens. Use white noise if needed. Aim for 7-8 hours of sleep nightly. 3. Focus on nutrient-dense foods. Support immune repair with vitamin D, found in salmon, egg yolks, or a supplement, 800-1000 IU daily. Zinc, found in pumpkin seeds, lean beef, or beans. Protein, crucial for maintaining muscle and healing wounds. Consider 1.2 gug. Kong body weight. 4. Check your medications. Some prescriptions, especially diuretics, sedatives, or blood pressure medscan, increase fall risk or slow healing. Review your list regularly with your doctor or pharmacist. 5. Watch for early signs. Sudden fatigue, increased confusion, decreased appetite or mobility. These small changes often indicate something is brewing. Catching problems early is the best way to avoid hospital stays. Resilience isn't about toughness. It's about attention. After 80, your body is no longer on autopilot. It requires your participation. That might mean more rest days, more check-ins with yourself, more awareness of subtle changes. But here's the truth. You can still be strong, just in a new way. Not by pushing through pain, but by honoring what your body needs. Not by hiding symptoms, but by sharing them before they become dangerous. This chapter of life isn't about proving you're still young. It's about protecting what you've built and staying healthy enough to enjoy the years you've earned. Losing your presence when you're no longer heard. You enter a room. People are talking. You open your mouth to join in, and before you finish your thought, someone cuts you off. You repeat yourself, and no one seems to notice. You raise a concern, and it gets brushed aside with, "Don't worry about that, Dad. You haven't changed. You still have stories, insights, opinions." But somewhere along the line, it feels like your presence in the world started to fade. Not because you stopped speaking, but because people stopped listening. For many older adults, one of the most painful and disorienting parts of aging isn't the physical decline. It's the subtle, cultural erasure of their voice. The silent fade. Why older voices get drowned out. This isn't about disrespect, not always. Often, it's simply a reflection of how fast society moves now, and how much it prioritizes youth, speed, and novelty over wisdom. 1. The pace of conversation has changed. In today's world, people talk fast, interrupt more, and value short, punchy statements. Older adults may pause more, speak more deliberately, or take longer to make a point not because they're confused, but because they're thoughtful. Unfortunately, those pauses are often misread as weakness or even irrelevance. 2. Ageism is subtle, but real. In families, in healthcare, even in everyday customer service, there's an unconscious assumption that older people are out of touch, too fragile, not worth fully engaging with. You start noticing it when people speak louder than needed, or talk over your head, or avoid eye contact. Or worse, speak to the person next to you about you while you're sitting right there. This isn't just frustrating, it's dehumanizing. 3. Loss of identity roles. When you retire, stop driving, or move out of your own home, you lose more than freedom, you lose status. You're no longer the decision maker, the host, the breadwinner. People don't come to you for advice. You don't get asked for input. And when your role disappears, so does your visibility. The emotional cost. Invisible, but heavy. Being ignored doesn't just bruise the ego, it chips away at mental health. Many seniors report feeling lonely in a crowded room. You may be surrounded by family, or in a care home with plenty of activity, but feel utterly unseen. That invisibility is linked to lower self-esteem, increased risk of depression, cognitive decline, withdrawal from social participation. You stop offering ideas. You stop asking questions. You become, little by little, smaller in your own story. Data doesn't lie. Harvard study on social fading. A Harvard study conducted in 2021 found that over 65% of adults over 80 feel that their opinions are no longer taken seriously in their own families. The same study found that this perceived loss of voice was a stronger predictor of depression than physical health status. In other words, feeling ignored hurts more than feeling ill. Reclaiming presence. It's not too late. Here's the good news. Just because others stop listening doesn't mean you have to stop speaking. There are ways to restore your presence by demanding attention, but by offering what few others can. Depth. 1. Become the family storyteller. Start small. Tell stories at the dinner table. Record audio memories on a phone. Share lessons from your childhood. Speak not because someone asked, but because the moment is yours. Tip. Start with, "Can I tell you a story I've never shared before?" Most people will say yes and you'll have their full attention. 2. Start a podcast or blog. Yes, really. There are dozens of tools that make podcasting easy even for people who aren't tech-savvy. Platforms like Anchor or Substack let you record your voice and share it with the world. Whether 10 people listen or 10, 0. The point is, you are expressing, sharing, being heard. 3. Lead a life group or reflection circle. Many senior centers, churches, or communities have weekly life review groups where elders gather to discuss a question like, what was your proudest moment? What's one thing you learned too late? What advice would you give your younger self? These spaces are powerful not only for emotional healing, but for restoring the dignity of being heard. 4. Make presence your practice. Even if others don't see you the way they used to, you can see yourself clearly. Presence isn't always about speaking, it's about choosing to be fully here. When you speak, do so with intention. When you walk into a room, remind yourself, you bring decades of life, love, and learning with you. And that matters. A message to families and caregivers. Listen deeper. If you're reading this and have an elder in your life, ask yourself, when's the last time I asked them for their opinion? Do I finish their sentences for them? Do I listen to understand or to move the conversation along? Older adults don't need to be fixed. They need to be heard. Every ignored story is a missed opportunity to learn, to connect, to honor the life that helped shape yours. Final words within this section. Not a conclusion. You haven't faded. You're still here. The world may not notice you the same way, but you are not invisible. You are a carrier of memory, meaning, and insight. The world needs more of your voice, not less. Speak your truth, even if it takes time. Tell your stories, even if they're long. You don't need a microphone or a spotlight. You need courage and the choice to show up anyway. Because presence isn't something people give you. It's something you claim. A life that quietly shrinks when your world begins to close in. There was a time when your calendar was full. Grocery runs, visits with neighbors, walks to the park, maybe even a weekend trip here and there. But slowly almost, without you realizing, it starts to change. You find yourself saying no more often. Your radius of movement contracts. First you stop going downtown. Then the grocery store. Then it's just the porch. Eventually, your entire world fits within the square footage of your home. This isn't always caused by illness. Often it happens quietly. Gradually, until you're left wondering, when did my life become so small? Why seniors retreat from the outside world? Shrinking social space isn't always a conscious choice. It's a mix of psychological hesitation, biological decline, and real environmental barriers. 1. Disorientation and fear of getting lost. As we age, the brain's hippocampus responsible for spatial memory and navigation starts to shrink. This makes unfamiliar places feel threatening. You may forget where you parked. You may doubt which turn you took. The outside world becomes a puzzle you no longer feel equipped to solve. So you stay in. 2. Fear of falling. Falls are the #1 cause of injury among seniors. 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls each year. And after 80, the risk skyrockets. What used to be a leisurely walk becomes a mental checklist. Are the sidewalks cracked? Will I trip? Can I make it back without tiring? This fear, real or imagined, leads to avoidance. But the less you move, the weaker your balance becomes. It's a vicious cycle. 3. Deteriorating vision and sensory overload. Eyesight worsens with age. Bright sunlight, shadows, crowded spaces, or even loud traffic can become overwhelming. Public environments feel chaotic, and it's hard to react quickly. For many seniors, even going out for coffee feels like too much stimulation to handle. 4. Loss of familiar landmarks. Sometimes the world shrinks because the world itself changes. The grocery store closes. The neighbor you used to chat with moves away. Your favorite restaurant rebrands, or worse, becomes unrecognizable. Suddenly, the things that made the outside world feel inviting are gone. The psychological toll of a shrinking life. This kind of retreat doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your sense of self. You start to believe you're fragile even if you're not. You begin to expect help, even when you could try first. You feel invisible, not just to others, but to yourself. You stop dressing up. You eat whatever's easy. The days blur. And underneath it all, you carry a quiet grief. Not just for what you've lost, but for the part of you that used to reach out. The Japanese lesson, hikikomori, isn't just for the young. In Japan, the term hikikomori refers to people, often young adults, who withdraw from social life for months or years. But now, a growing number of seniors are becoming elderly hikikomori, shutting themselves away from the outside world due to fear, shame, or emotional exhaustion. This isolation leads to worsening mental and physical health, and makes seniors more dependent on care systems. In extreme cases, they stop interacting even with family. Western countries are not immune. The difference is, we rarely name it, we just assume it's normal aging. It's not. It's a preventable loss of life experience. Micro-adventures. A powerful way to reclaim your world. You don't have to jump on a plane to feel alive. Sometimes, just crossing the street with intention is enough to shift your world. Here's how to rebuild a life that may have quietly shrunk. 1. Take purposeful walks. Instead of wandering aimlessly, create missions. Walk to deliver a handwritten note to a neighbor. Walk to buy one flower for your living room. Walk to photograph a tree changing with the seasons. When your walk has a purpose, your mind stays engaged and your heart stays open. 2. Map your neighborhood anew. You may have lived in the same house for 40 years, but when's the last time you really noticed it? Sketch a basic map of your street. Mark places that bring you comfort. Revisit one place each week and journal about it. This turns your environment into a personal, meaningful space, again, not just somewhere you're stuck. 3. Make your home a destination. If your world has to be smaller, make it richer. Decorate with things that remind you of adventures past. Create a reading nook with light and warmth. Start a window garden and track its growth. You're not just home, you're the curator of your own experience. 4. Travel through time. Can't go to Italy? Watch a documentary. Cook spaghetti. Learn 3 Italian phrases. Share the experience with someone over the phone. Let curiosity, not distance, be your travel companion. Final thought within this section. When life shrinks, it's easy to believe you're the one fading. But you're not. You're still vibrant, still curious, still worthy of new experience. 7 if they happen on a smaller stage. Don't let the 4 walls around you become your prison. Let them be the starting point of something smaller, slower but no less beautiful. You may not go far, but with the right mindset, you can go deep. And that, in this stage of life, may matter even more. Your body is no longer the friend you knew when every day becomes a mystery. One morning you wake up feeling steady, clear-headed, and even energized. You brew your coffee, stretch a little, and think, maybe I'll walk to the corner today. The next day, you reach for that same coffee cup and your hand trembles. Your legs feel weak, your energy is gone. You're not sick. There's no fever. Nothing specific to blame. Just this uneasy truth. You no longer know what version of your body you'll wake up to. For many older adults, this is one of the most emotionally difficult aspects of aging. Not just that the body declines, but that it does so inconsistently. And unpredictability makes it hard to plan, to trust, and to feel in control. Sarcopenia and cognitive decline. A dual hit to confidence. 2 of the most common biological processes that contribute to this daily uncertainty are sarcopenia and mild cognitive impairment. 1. Sarcopenia. The loss of muscle mass and strength. Starting in your 60s and accelerating in your 80s, your body begins to lose muscle at a faster rate than it can rebuild. This includes not just arm and leg muscles, but the small, stabilizing muscles that help you balance and coordinate movement. You may not notice it immediately, but then, you struggle to get out of a chair without pushing off. You lose your footing when stepping off a curb. You feel exhausted after carrying a grocery bag. Even if your bones are strong and your joints are healthy, the engine behind every movement is weaker. And unlike in youth, you can't just push through it. That only leads to injury or burnout. 2. Cognitive fluctuations. More than just memory loss. Mild cognitive impairment doesn't just affect memory. It can affect your ability to concentrate, your sense of time, your spatial awareness, and your confidence. Some days, your brain fires on all cylinders. You remember names, dates, directions. Other days, you feel foggy. Words escape you. You forget why you walked into the kitchen. These inconsistencies lead many seniors to question their own stability. Am I safe to walk outside today? Will I get confused or dizzy? What if I get tired halfway and can't make it back? This constant guessing game makes people hesitate to move, speak, or even try. And that hesitation slowly chips away at independence. The emotional weight of not trusting your body. This isn't just a medical issue, it's a deeply personal one. When your body stops being predictable, it feels like betrayal. This is the same body that carried you through a career, raised a family, climbed mountains, danced at weddings. And now, it forgets how to balance. It stiffens for no reason. It gives you pain without explanation. You may feel embarrassed when you can't stand up quickly, frustrated when you drop things, anxious about walking without support, angry that others treat you as fragile when you still feel strong inside. These feelings are normal, and they deserve space to be acknowledged, not dismissed as just getting old. Adaptability is the new strength. If your body can't be counted on in the same way, you need a new approach. One built not on control, but on observation, patience, and flexible thinking. 1. Use a daily body inventory checklist. Before you start your day, take 2 minutes to check in with yourself. Do I feel steady on my feet? Am I unusually tired? Any new stiffness or pain? Is my mind clear or foggy today? Just like pilots run a pre-flight checklist, you can do a pre-day scan. This empowers you to make adjustments before problems arise, whether that means using a cane, rescheduling a walk, or asking someone to stay close. 2. Distinguish between aging pain and alarm signals. Not all aches mean danger. Some are part of normal aging joint stiffness in the morning, mild soreness after activity. But other pains are red flags. Sudden or sharp pain. Pain with swelling or bruising. Pain that limits movement, or gets worse quickly. Pain accompanied by confusion, fatigue, or fever. If you're unsure, guess. Call. Early action prevents small problems from becoming major events. 3. Move every day, but move wisely. Even if your body feels off, gentle movement is almost always better than doing nothing. The key is intentionality. Try chair exercises. Do seated yoga. Walk short distances indoors. Practice balance drills near a counter. Use the motto, as much as I can, as well as I can, without pushing too far. 4. Keep a health journal. Track your daily patterns: mood, mobility, food, sleep. Over time, you may spot trends. Do certain foods increase stiffness? Does poor sleep lead to more dizziness? Are there specific days you feel stronger? Understanding your body's rhythm allows you to work with it, not against it. Redefining strength at this stage of life. In youth, strength meant pushing boundaries, going farther, lifting heavier. In later life, strength becomes something quieter but no less powerful. The strength to listen to your body. The strength to ask for help. The strength to rest without guilt. The strength to adjust without shame. You're not weak because you move slower. You're wise because you move with intention. And if today your body feels uncertain, be kind. Tomorrow may be better. If it's not, you'll know how to adapt. Final note within this section. Aging doesn't mean losing your body. It means learning it all over again. Day by day. Step by step. With honesty, curiosity, and care. Your body may surprise you, confuse you, even disappoint you, but it's still carrying you through life. Treat it not like a failing machine, but like an old friend, one that deserves patience, support, and above all your respect. We've just walked through some of the hardest truths about life after 80. Not just the aches and pills, but the silence, the shrinking world, the invisible battles where the hardest part isn't pain, but being forgotten. If any of this felt familiar, you're not alone. Aging doesn't just take things from you, it asks something of us. It asks us to slow down, yes, but also to look deeper, to speak louder, to choose meaning, not just movement. Because while the body may change, and the phone may stop ringing, your voice still matters. Your presence still matters. You still matter. So here's what I want you to do. If this video spoke to you, leave a comment. Tell us, which of these 5 truths have you seen in your own life? Your story might be the one that helps someone else feel seen. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're building a community where aging is honored, not hidden. And if you know someone, your mom, your grandfather, your neighbor who needs to hear this, share this video. One small act of care might change the course of someone's entire day or life.